Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to thank and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Hi everyone, and welcome to On the House, the Household Management Science Insights podcast, produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element, with expert knowledge from professionals in the field. I'm your host, Gabriella Joustra, coming to you from Naarm, Melbourne, Australia. Let's get started.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. We're here today to talk about foundations and floors from the perspective of home maintenance with Bryan Alvarado, who is a certified home inspector and CEO and founder of Alvaron Home Inspections. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good. Thank you. First of all, thank you very much, Gabriella, for having me on your show. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. But before we get going, do you mind maybe introducing yourself a little bit more?
Yes, sure. As Gabriella said, I'm Bryan Alvarado. I am a certified home inspector as well as the CEO and founder of Alvaron Home Inspections. And Alvaron Home Inspections is a veteran-owned small business that specializes in residential home inspections.
How did you get into this area?
Oh, well, it was quite a journey getting there, but basically we've kind of found it by chance, and it became kind of like an unknown passion for me. My wife actually found it and thought it would be a good fit for me, and as soon as I tried it out, that was it.
Oh, that's great. I love it when, your job becomes something you're really passionate about, and unexpectedly
Right.
as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's I guess that's kind of why it started. I was looking for something I was passionate about.
Great. So we're going to do a section called Have You Met Bryan? That's where we get to know you a little bit better. So our first question is, what's your favorite book?
Oh, well, I do love learning new things and as well as history. So most of what I read tends to be either educational in regards to business or history. But one of my all-time favorite fictional books is J.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, because that book was the first one that kind of inspired me to go out and travel and have my own adventures. So I've loved it ever since.
That's great. Yeah, that was probably one of my first favorite books as well.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I've read it so many times.
Oh, me too.
What's a movie that you've enjoyed recently?
You might be familiar with it, but I just recently enjoyed the sequel to Avatar, which is Avatar: The Way of Water.
I really want to watch that.
You haven't?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Okay, I won't spoil it for you. It was good. It was definitely worth watching. I'd watch it.
Okay. Would you recommend watching it in the cinema?
Yeah,
You watch it
it
at
was a
home?
nice experience to watch. I watched it. There's a lot of people that are recommending for like the 4D and the 3D. I did not watch it like that. I just watched it in the regular IMAX. So it was a nice experience, but I can't speak to to the other ones.
I remember watching the first one 3D, and I think I felt quite sick.
Oh, there's a lot of there's a lot of movement in those.
Yeah, I guess. See how you feel.
Right.
Do you listen to any podcasts?
Well, yes, actually, once you introduced me to this podcast, the household management, I kind of threw it in my rotation as well. But
Great.
but the most recent and the most frequent one that I listen to is InterNACHI's podcast for home inspectors.
That is so specific.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. I love how there's a podcast for everyone and everything.
Oh, yeah. No, there's definitely there's that. Someone's probably made the podcast for something you like if you haven't found it yet.
All right, I'll have to have a look for a knitting podcast.
Nice.
Do you have a role model?
Well, actually, one entrepreneur that I do look up to, and I found recently on by watching Shark Tank, was Daniel Lubetsky. and he is the CEO and founder of the Kind bars. If you're familiar with them, they are a variety of healthy nut flavored bars. Oh, nut bars,
Uh-huh.
sorry. Basically, his mission, I'm more impressed by his actions and what he does because he's made several nonprofits with the intention of helping others and helping people, and especially people in areas of conflict. And basically, that's the kind of entrepreneur I hope to be one day, one that is in a position to be able to help and give back like he is.
That's amazing. So it's a nut bar, but it actually, the profits go towards really great causes.
Oh, well, no. He is sorry. He started several nonprofits after the Kind Bar. The profits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry. Confused
but
there.
he came up through the Kind Bars. Yeah, that was his.
Okay. Oh, that's also great, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And are there any courses that you've completed recently?
Oh yes, as I mentioned before, I try to complete as many courses as I can. But the most recent was InterNACHI's infrared thermal imaging course, and that got
Mhm.
me certified to use infrared thermal imaging cameras in my home inspections, and actually included with every one of my home inspections now.
And what does that mean when you use it? Like,
Oh
what does
well,
it do?
basically, a infrared thermal imaging camera basically allows me to detect an object's infrared radiation. So it kind
Mhm.
of allows me to see the temperature differences between two objects. Uh, and then, for example, in a wall, if I see one spot looks slightly cooler than the rest of the wall, it can mean that there's a moisture issue inside the wall. But then I would confirm all my findings with the moisture meter and then my client.
I guess it's easier to do that than to use the moisture reader like on every section of the wall.
Right. Yeah. It's not very practical to walk around in every section of the home with a moisture reader.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I guess, why some parts of the house are so much colder.
Oh, right. Yeah. And to that, it could also be a lack of insulation. Insulation
Uh,
helps regulate the temperature inside the home sometimes. Yeah.
Good. Great. So we'll move on to the questions today.
Yes.
So first question, what is household management?
Well, I believe household management refers to the various tasks, chores, and responsibilities involved in the daily operations and maintenance of a home. Basically, whether it's the daily cleaning task that you perform to keep the upkeep, or cleaning out your filter and on the AC at least annually, or regularly cleaning out the debris from your gutters and things like
Are there any misconceptions about it?
that. Well, I think one common misconception is that it's often confused with home maintenance. And while home maintenance is a part of household management, it's only one part of household management actually encompasses everything else, which you can include like the finances involved in running your home as well. But home maintenance will usually only refer to the repairs and upkeep of the components and structure of a home.
So I guess, what is home maintenance?
Oh, right. So I would define home maintenance as basically the regular upkeep and repairs of a home's structures and components. And basically, let's say and whether that be preventative or reactive, your AC can break down and then you have it serviced, or you're regularly cleaning out the filter and having it serviced by a HVAC technician to extend its life. Things like that would be home maintenance.
Okay. And I guess where does, so would you recommend more of a regular maintenance, or do you think you should, use something and then replace it when it's like wrecked?
Oh, I see. Different parts of a home can definitely benefit from regular maintenance, and it could even extend some of the components' lifespan, right? But on the other end of that, not performing that maintenance can also shorten their lifespan and cause them to break down before their time. So I would recommend definitely keeping up regular maintenance and more preventative maintenance than reactive.
Okay, great. So we're talking about like the foundations today. So what is a foundation?
Oh, well, the foundation basically refers to the load-bearing portion of a house's entire structure, and it's usually built below ground.
So is there maintenance that you can do to the foundation, like preventative?
Well, yes, there is actually some maintenance you can do. Me as the most important one would be having it inspected at least once, your home inspected by home inspector at least once a year. Me being a home inspector, I can get into my foundation and look around. But another practice that I do that anyone can also do is I look at all the vegetation around my home, and I trim whatever is too close to the exterior siding. You want to trim it at least 6 to 12 inches away. And because of the reason that vegetation tends to retain water, and that water will be sent right to the foundation.
Ah, interesting. I didn't know that. But does that mean that you'll have this like kind of dead area around the house if you've got a garden?
Well, it's you can cut minimum of 6 inches, trim 6 inches because you don't want it touching, because you don't want the water to fall off the lead right into the foundation. So you can trim as little or as much as possible. The good thing is that most of my plants are in pots, so I was able to just kind of scoot them forward and not have to trim around them. But it's definitely an easy practice with a lot of reward that can help prevent a lot of moisture issues in your foundation.
Yeah, that's definitely something I think anyone who has a home can do.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what makes a good foundation?
Oh, well, there are several factors that can determine a good foundation. Obviously, using better materials makes a better foundation, or using the more durable materials. Also, the construction practice. If the foundation is not built correctly, then its effectiveness in keeping the water out and keeping the soil vapor out, or even bearing the load of the house's entire structure can be negatively impacted, and it would not be good.
So how can you tell if you're, expecting a house to buy it, for example? What are you looking for to see if it's good?
Right. Well, to see if it's good, I'm kind of looking for what's not there. So if I see like major horizontal cracks, and then they're typically more than a hairline, it would be cause for concern. So something like that would tell me that there's probably movement or settling in the foundation. Also, when I get under there, I would look for what is known as efflorescence, which is like a white powdery substance left by water after it dries up on the concrete. So that tells me that water entered the foundation in that area. And things like that I would see. And then the less I find of those, the better condition the foundation's in.
So you're actually you're hoping for nothing.
Right, but that's rarely the case.
Okay.
Right.
Are there different types of foundation?
Yes, actually, there are cross spaces, also known as pier and beam. There's poured slab or slab on grade, and then there's full basements. Now, would you like me to go a little bit more into detail on those, or?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah. Well, full basements, they make pretty good foundations, but they can be a little more expensive because it's a full room. They're usually made up of concrete or bricks, stones. Poured on slab is a little easier to construct and more economical than a full basement, and it's actually became the most common here in the U.S. and I believe in Australia as well, if my research was right. But I believe those are because of their easiness to construct and them being more economical. And the crawl spaces tend to be more on older homes. And they're also more economical because of the materials involved, which use more wood than you would in poured slab, which is mostly usually just concrete. And actually, I have a funny story about the crawl space. My home has a crawl space, and that's actually while I was inspecting my crawl space, that's where I found the most recent member of my family, my cat, Evie.
Oh, that's so cute. How old is she?
Oh, she's gonna be 2 years in May.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah,
We'll have to have
thanks.
photos up. Can you send us a photo?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I'll send you guys a photo.
Thank you. I have a cat as well. We did find him in the
Oh,
foundations,
awesome.
but now I'm partial to cats.
Yeah, I was
So
the same way.
other than finding your family underneath the foundations, um, like are there some other benefits to the different types of foundations? Like is one more energy efficient, or anything?
I see. They all have their advantages and their disadvantages, and it greatly also depends on the type of materials used in the construction and the construction practices as well. But I've seen more and more going towards the poured slab. So I would argue that and the full basement would be stronger, maybe easier to maintain foundations than a crawl space.
The other thing I wanted to ask about the crawl spaces is, are you driving the wood into the ground? Does it, like, I don't know, get
Oh,
moldy?
no. One thing that I look for as well is any contact of the wood directly with the soil.
Uh-huh.
They should not come into direct contact because that would allow for wood destroying organisms. That would allow a pathway for wood destroying organisms such as termites or something to get into the home, or even for water to rise up into the home through capillary action.
So is it like concrete and then is it wood?
Yeah, it's usually like, yeah, sometimes some concrete, they can have little footers, or
Uh-huh.
they usually put like a little slab of concrete or treated wood that is meant to come into contact with it, that's protected so that it won't allow uh, wood destroying organisms to infest.
Okay, interesting. I'm learning a lot.
Thank you.
So what are some common problems for foundations other than, as you mentioned, I think, water or
Right. Yeah.
damp
So
issues?
besides moisture issues, another common one that I see is insufficient or missing insulation. For the full basement can be insulated on the exterior or interior. Poured on slab usually has foam insulation on the exterior, and crawl spaces are treated as like a small basement, so they should have insulation in the walls and on the floor.
Okay.
And
And that,
sorry, go ahead.
does that mean that you use a lot of heat under, like, in the floors?
Without the proper insulation, it can allow for either the vapor from the soil and the moisture from the soil to enter the home, or for you to lose the heat through that way, or
So
things
it's a
just
two-way issue.
right. Insulation really helps keep things together in the home.
Are there other problems, common problems that people have?
Yes, you can see settlement cracks, movement or shifting of the foundation.
Mhm.
When I would look for that, I would look for maybe out of frame, doors out of frame, or windows with a slanted frame, things that would tell me that the house is kind of shifting. That's not a good thing. Or bowing, bulging, or leaning of the walls. That would also give me an indication that there's serious problems in the foundation.
So in my apartment, so I live in an apartment,
Right.
and we a couple of years ago had some really big issues with, I think it was called subsiding, in the foundation.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah, because of the
I
soil
think,
fall.
yeah. So like, we have these like zigzaggy cracks in the walls. Like some windows were
Oh, yeah.
actually breaking because of the change. Um,
Right. Yeah. Mm,
is that a really big problem?
That it sounds like it could be a major. It sounds like the building is kind of coming to this from what it sounds like that you're explaining. So I would definitely get that looked at by somebody.
They did actually get someone to look at that, which is why I know the word for it.
Oh, good. Yeah, right. Because
But
that sounds
it's
kind of serious.
yeah, it seems to be happening again, and I think it's just is, I guess, for some issues,
Right.
is it something that will just keep reoccurring and you just have to fix it up
Well,
for now?
for a lot of them, it could be that the soil wasn't properly compacted at the beginning of the construction, so now it's moving, and the building is moving with it. Or it could be that water is getting so much water in it that it's maybe eroding or moving the dirt, and that's what's also causing the displacement or the shift in the foundation. But I would definitely recommend either a structural engineer or a foundational contractor look at that. Yes.
Yeah, so that's something that definitely professionals will have to look at.
I would, yes, definitely. That sounds like
Yeah, okay. I mean, I just read there, so, it's not my problem.
right. Right.
So is there any preventing these problems, like with the damp, that like lay people can do? Or is it just to get a contractor in?
Well, for most issues with the foundation, I would really recommend hiring a professional, whether it be a qualified foundation contractor or a structural engineer. You can try to fix some of the issues yourself, depending on your knowledge and your expertise. However, you can end up doing more damage if it's not done right.
So it's just a matter of looking out for the signs of issues and then
Right.
getting a professional in to...
As far as preventing, they could take some steps to prevent moisture intrusion, which would be having gutters and downspouts installed in the home to shed the water from the roof away from the home's foundation, and as well as the trimming of the vegetation around the home that I mentioned before.
Would also be like cleaning gutters regularly also be a really important
Yes,
one?
thank you. Yes, regularly cleaning out the gutters, because any debris that builds up in there can potentially block the water from exiting through the downspouts and then just overflow it into your roof. And you don't want that either.
Yeah, okay. Good to know. We're also going to talk about flooring today. So are there different types of flooring?
Oh, yes. There are many different types of flooring. There's hardwood, there's laminate, there's vinyl, there's carpet, there's brick, there's stone, concrete, and many more.
So why would you pick one floor over the other?
Well, I think it would really just come down to personal preference and your budget, because some materials are more expensive than others, but they're more durable. And then some materials are easier to maintain than others, like hardwoods and laminate floors. Generally, waterproof floors would be easier to maintain, especially when compared to carpet. Concrete flooring would be the easiest possible, probably, I would say, but it may not also be aesthetically pleasing for someone, especially in like a living room.
Yeah. And I think it would hurt if you tried to, my partner does is he stretches on the ground a lot. So if you're stretching straight on the concrete, it wouldn't be very comfortable.
Right. No, yeah. Not ideal.
And a bit cold. Yeah. So what I guess, I don't know much about building or anything. So is it just like you have the foundation and then you put the hardwood on top of it? Is that how it works?
Well, it would depend on the foundation, yes, but generally, yes, it's like the foundation is like the base, and then they build the house on top of it, going from the flooring to the walls to the roof, ceiling, attic.
So what's the what type of floor is the easiest to maintain?
Oh, well, as I mentioned, I think it would be concrete would be the easiest.
Yes.
But not sure if you'd want it everywhere. But generally, hardwoods or waterproof floors such as laminate, or water-resistant floors, such as laminate, I would say, yeah.
So the hardest would be, I guess, carpet, because you'd have to
I would say carpet, yeah. You'd have to, depending on it, you might need a good steam clean or even replacement of the carpet.
Yeah, no. Okay. Yeah. I guess that it's much more comfortable to have carpet on the ground.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
So what are some other problems that people have with their flooring?
Some problems that I've seen is bubbling of the floors, or or squeaky or squishy floors, that usually means that there's an underlying moisture issue in there. I remember one house I was just walking through the hallway, and then I know where I heard a squeak, and I just stopped right there. And when I went under the crawl space, there was a big leak under there, basically from one of the pipes. And
Interesting. So
there's
if a
a
floor
couple of
is
things that you can find in the floors. Yeah.
so if a floor is squeaky, does that mean that there's a water problem, or
It can mean that there's a water problem. It's not always, it doesn't always mean that there's a water problem, but it can be a good indication. That's when I would, like I did, I went in under and got a visual confirmation as well as use my moisture meter. But it can mean that that there's no active leak, but that somehow that piece of floor has retained moisture, and that's why it's squeaking or a little squishy, I would say.
Okay. I think if a floor was squishy, I would
That's a huge
immediately do something about it. Oh, that sounds awful. I guess, what can people do in that kind of situation? Just call the professionals?
You can try to take care of it yourself, but however, if it is an underlying moisture issue, it will probably just happen again. So yeah, I would recommend contacting a professional contractor or somebody that could address the source of moisture.
Okay. Is there something you can do to prevent it? Or
well, it would go along the same lines of the preventative measures for moisture intrusion, like adding the gutters, downspouts, and trimming the vegetation, stuff like that.
I mean, it's good that they're all, I guess, easy fixes.
Right. Yeah, things that you can do without many tools, or except installing the gutters. But
yes,
right.
Yeah. What about the cleaning floors? Do you know much about that? Like, what's the best way?
I know that I've heard there's many methods and chemicals out there for cleaning the floors, but I mean, I've seen, in my opinion, the best method that I've used is just regular soap and water.
Okay, that's good to know.
Like less chance to find something that'll mess up your floors, you know?
Yes, exactly. You find that this cleaning product actually doesn't react well with things you have on your floor. So move on to a practice that you do at your own home. What is something that you do to maintain your floors and foundation?
Well, as I mentioned before, since I'm a home inspector, I can go into my foundation and I took a look at the conditions and see, what needs to be addressed, what problems there are. But the simplest practice that I also do that anyone else can do is just the trimming of the vegetation. That would be the main. Another thing would be looking at the grading outside your home. By that I mean the floor outside your home. Is it sloped towards your home or sloped away from your home? You want it sloping away from your home so that any water that hits the floor goes away and not towards your foundation. For that, you can probably try regrading yourself if you want to get the soil or and level it out, or you can call a professional or a landscaper to do that for you.
So do you mean like, I guess, seeing if the soil in the area is more of a mound away from the home? Would you just be digging?
I guess no. I guess the way your floor is slanted, your yard on the outside, the way it's slanted, I guess, because if it's slanted in a way that's facing towards your home, any water on the floor will roll towards the foundation. So you basically want your ground to basically be at the highest point by your house, and then slope down toward away from the home, basically towards the street, basically, I guess.
So would that involve just, I guess, moving the dirt from, I guess, the higher ends and moving them towards the house?
Right.
Okay, that sounds pretty...
But you also want to...
Yeah.
The reason I would recommend a professional is because you don't want to, put too much soil towards the side of your house as well and bury the siding, because that can also affect the siding right there, or cause moisture or wood-destroying organisms to enter in there. So you want to kind of not put it too high, but make sure that it slopes from the house down away towards the street.
Okay. That definitely makes sense, because I guess if you think about like bowls versus hills, it just
Right, right.
like quite an easy idea, but I never thought of that.
Oh yeah. And I didn't give it much thought until I became a home inspector either.
So we do also have some questions from the audience.
Oh, okay.
The first question is, what are the best floors for hot and humid weather? Or like in hot, humid climates?
Oh, in hot, humid climates, I would defer more to a flooring specialist on this. However, I would guess that the only thing with hardwood floors is that the heat will tend to affect them. Maybe I believe it expands them. But other than that, I think just one that the any floors that don't get affected by temperature. Basically, I mean, I think any laminate or even carpets would be okay in humid conditions. It's just they might take more maintenance or things like.
Okay, I guess not that anyone's doing it, but I guess something that doesn't expand too much, like steel.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
Steel floor, but
Exactly.
yeah, I've seen train rails where they expand so much it buckles everything.
Oh man, yeah. See, the temperature can affect
Yeah, so
a lot of things.
particularly in Australia, we've got such big differences, even in one day.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that probably would make a big difference.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How efficient is concrete flooring?
Oh man, well, I would say it's very efficient because I mean it also takes little to no upkeep really. I mean, on the outside we mostly use concrete and it withstands the weathering, the weather, the elements. It just depends. It can be more expensive to use concrete because it can take more of that material to cover the desired area. But it is very durable, although it may not be, as we said before, aesthetically pleasing in certain areas of the home.
Um, that's all of our questions. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
So we'll move on to the open mic section. So this is where you can talk about anything that you're passionate about, and it doesn't have to be related to our topic today. And you said you've chosen your passion for travel.
Oh, yes. I love traveling. Now with my wife, she's my partner in all my journeys and my travel as well. And because of The Hobbit, I've traveled to many places and had my own adventures. I got to climb Mount Fuji when I was stationed in Japan during my time in the Marine Corps. And I also experienced the pyramids of Chichen Itza in Mexico. I've seen the Parthenon and the original Olympic Stadium in Greece. Let's see, I've seen historic World War II sites in both Germany and Poland when I visited there. And I've seen the Niagara Falls in Canada as well. I have not yet been to Australia, although it is on my list, and I hope to visit soon.
I hear this a lot from a lot of people, but Australia's very far for them. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's right here.
Right, it's a plane ride away.
Yeah, it's hard to get to everyone else.
Right.
Yeah. So you said you liked The Hobbit. Have you been to New Zealand?
No, that is why New Zealand specifically made it to my list. Once I saw that a lot of the film was filmed there, it just made it on my bucket list.
Because I used to live in New Zealand, and
Really? Oh man.
yeah, and I mean, I was a kid at the time, so I didn't really get to travel very much around New Zealand by myself. But I do remember climbing Mount Doom, and everyone being like, "This is Mount Doom."
That's cool.
And it was really amazing. Yeah, so I was just wondering, it must be on your bucket list to go there.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
And come visit Melbourne on your way down.
And Mount Doom actually is going to be added to my bucket list now. I hope I can complete that one.
Yes. And also Hobbiton is also, or the Shire is in New Zealand. Well, that's
Oh,
where I
yes.
used to live.
Yes.
Actually, I think all of New Zealand was The Hobbit, right? So
I
just
think that, yes, I think all the Hobbiter homes basically were New Zealand, and I think most of the scenery is what really that
yeah,
attracted.
yeah,
So I can't wait for that trip.
yes, yes. So I guess where else do you want to go?
Oh man, we do have like almost endless list, I guess. We do want to travel through Central and I mean through Latin America as well. You know, we want to. I haven't. I am half Guatemalan and half Bolivian. I've
England?
been to Bolivia, but I have not seen Guatemala yet. So that is definitely on my list as well. And then we want to see other places like Peru, Puerto Rico. You know, we want to travel more through Europe, Italy, you know, specifically Rome, places like that. I do tend to like more historical places as well, just because I love history.
Well, Europe's definitely, I mean, everywhere's full of historical places, but I mean,
Yes.
Europe, I think, especially has a lot of tourist sites specifically for historical places.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You know, like the Colosseum in Rome. I mean, I feel
Oh,
like,
Greece. Oh, man.
um,
Yeah.
well, not the
And then
Colosseum.
Italy would have the
Uh,
Colosseum, the Vatican.
yeah.
You know, I
Mm,
would just like to see it sounds like an amazing place. I just want to see it.
yeah. Yeah. I also love traveling. And
Yes.
yeah, recently I got to leave the country for the first time in like 3 years. So that was really nice.
Oh, yeah. Because where did you go, if you don't mind me asking?
I went to Singapore and to Seoul.
Oh, awesome. Yes, Korea is definitely on my on my
Oh,
list
well,
as well.
and the food there was amazing. So I don't know if
Really?
you like food, but yeah, so
I
good.
keep hearing that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. I think travel is very important. I mean, because uh, money will always come back, your time will not. That's the way I see
Yes.
it.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite place that you went to?
Oh man. Honestly, right now it's probably between Poland or Greece,
Oh,
because those two I fell in love when I was there. The sceneries, the culture, the history, everything there was awesome. But I think I'm a little more partial to Greece simply because you know of all the I also love the Greek mythology. That was kind of I was kind of a nerd when it came to that. You know, like I love that.
yeah. I definitely want to go to. I forgot what it's called. Yeah, the Parthenon, the hill
Yeah,
with all the things.
there's the
Uh,
Parthenon, and then there's the stadium. Wow, I
yeah,
think I know what you're talking about because we did a tour that took us to like all the different historical places like that, but I cannot remember the name
yeah.
right
I can't
now for
remember
some
either,
reason.
but yeah, that's definitely on my list.
No, I would definitely recommend it. It was amazing.
I'll just have to find some way to get to Europe because it
All
is
right.
quite
Yeah,
far for me.
honestly, once you get there, I think the inner travel is pretty easy. I think.
Yeah. Mm. If people want to find out more about you, where should they go?
Yes. If you'd like to find out more about Alvaron Home Inspections or myself, you can check us out on our website at www.alvaronhomeinspections.com. You can also look us up on Facebook and Instagram. Uh, our name would be Alvaron Home Inspections for both, or you can follow me, Bryan Alvarado, on LinkedIn as well.
Great. And we'll put all of those links in the show notes for you to find
Oh,
because I know
thank you.
it's very hard to remember all of the different,
All right.
I don't know, for me
Yeah,
maybe. But yeah, great. Thank you. It was so great to talk to you today.
yeah. Thank you so much, Gabriella. It was awesome being here. Thank you.
You've been listening to On the House, produced by the Household Management Science Labs, a division of LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. More episodes like this from across 10 life management perspectives can be found by searching LMSL on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, and any other podcasting apps available on your smart devices. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider rating, sharing, and subscribing to our channel, as it helps other people to find it so we can grow and continue to bring you quality resources. More of our work can be found on our website, hm.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Gabriella Joustra. Thanks for tuning in.